Almost all of your heating and air conditioning units nowadays have some kind of safety device on them. A high pressure switch, a low pressure switch, loss of charge, temperature switches, all kinds of things to protect the compressor and protect the unit to make sure that it doesn't destroy itself. But there's one device that is not visible, and so oftentimes technicians overlook it. That's what we're going to talk about in this video today. The most common compressor that you find on most HVAC air conditioners or heat pumps today is the Copeland scroll compressor. And Copeland has a number of internal devices that protect the compressor that are not always obvious to the technician. The first one is the internal pressure relief, which if the pressure inside the dome of the compressor gets too great, it will open up and equalize pressure between the low side and the high side. Then there's the lifting scroll, which many technicians find out about this when they try to use the compressor to pull the refrigerant into the outdoor unit. When you get to a certain point, the pressure is so low that it lifts the scroll and the compressor no longer pumps the refrigerant. Then there is a scroll pressure relief that if the pressure inside the scroll itself gets too high, it will relieve the pressure. And then the one that is most often overlooked is the internal thermal cutout, which is a click-on switch that is embedded in the windings of the motor. So if the motor overheats, this click-on switch will open, and it would normally show an open winding on the motor, and so of course the motor will shut down. This is the one that during these hot summer months usually opens up, and a technician will condemn a compressor when it's simply the internal thermal cutout that is open. These are two different types of thermal overloads. The one on the left is the one that is generally embedded in the windings of the motor. The one on the right is one that can be added to a compressor and normally would be external on the terminal connections on the compressor itself. Both of these switches operate in the same manner, that they are normally closed when the compressor is normally operating, and when the compressor overheats, they open up and show an open circuit on the compressor. So as we've said, this switch is located embedded in the windings of the motor and is usually on the common line that goes to the compressor. And it opens because of heat. And so we have to dissipate the heat off the compressor before it will close. And there are some methods, such as running water over the compressor to cool it off, but the technician must cool the compressor down so that this circuit will close. Many technicians overlook this and they think that the compressor simply has an open winding, and so they change out the compressor when all they had to do was cool it down and close that circuit. So the switch is internal to the compressor and it's in the common side, and this is what it looks like. It's a type of embedded switch that is internal to the motor and opens up when the motor overheats. So as we said, when you show an open circuit or the compressor is not running, or you put a hand on the compressor and it's extremely hot, you need to cool it off. And one of the quickest ways to do that is by using a garden hose with cool water to run across the compressor. Many technicians hesitate from doing this, but also recognize that these units operate during rainstorms and during ice and water, and so there's nothing wrong with running water over the compressor to try to cool it down. So another method to cool down the compressor is by going to a local store and purchasing a bag of ice and putting it on the top of the compressor. When I used to work in the Arizona region, we used to do this quite often. Many technicians on apartment complexes would just simply saw out compressors because they were open. And when we'd get them back in the warehouse, you could hear the click-on switches snapping as they snap closed. So the compressor was changed out for no reason at all. So by simply putting a bag of ice on it or running water over it, they could have closed the click-on switch and been down the road and had their customer air conditioning that same day.
Go to arefco.com for more videos, like, subscribe, and check back every week for new videos.